All right, good evening, everyone. I hear an echo. Good. Okay. It is now 4 o'clock on June 22nd. I would like to call to order the Personnel and Finance Committee meeting. Before that, however, I believe that Clerk Torado would like to uh, mention a few house cleaning or housekeeping items that will impact all of the other committees this evening.
Good afternoon, members of the public. To maintain good audio quality for council and yourselves, we will be muting everyone not speaking by default. If you would like to speak during a public portion of the meeting, please submit your request in the chat. Directions to do so will be listed. We ask that you provide your full name and residential address, as those are required for all speakers at in-person council meetings. Those wishing to speak must activate their camera, displaying the speaker to be recognized by the chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Would you mind calling the roll for the committee, please?
Committee Member Thomas Morgan,
Present.
Committee Member Gooden Rogers,
Present.
Citizen Member Kaz Marjanu, Committee Chair Niskoski.
Present.
4 members present.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Just to remind everybody to activate your mic, you do need to push the little, yep, there you go. Thank you. Okay, so our first bill we have that comes in front of the committee today is the 2026 Additional Appropriations Bill 33-26. And I see the esteemed controller, Mr. Kyle Willis, is here to present.
Far too kind. Yes, Bill 33-26, just key highlights from this bill for additional appropriations. Out of Fund 408, $1.5 million appropriation for street and repair maintenance expenses. Out of Fund 212, Community Investment Grants Fund, appropriating $7 million in HUD-led grant proceeds. And out of Fund 217, $720,000 for Bloomberg grant proceeds that we're appropriating for the IT department. So happy to answer any additional questions regarding appropriations.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to bring it back to the committee members here. There was a lot of fun numbers here with the different appropriations. Did anybody have any questions over them? He did also provide a sheet that justified the appropriations and the attached. Is there any questions from committee members? Is there any question from non-committee members? Nope. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and go to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 33-26?
At this time, I do not see any members of the public wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak against?
At this time, I do not see anyone from the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition of the bill.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing on Bill 33-26 and bring it back to the committee. Is there any questions or comments regarding the bill? If there's not, I'll entertain a motion regarding the bill.
I move that we send Bill 33-26 to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Torado, could you call the roll?
Committee Member Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Committee Member Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kaz Marjanu,
Aye.
Committee Chair Niskoski.
Aye.
4 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 33-26 will be sent forward with a favorable recommendation. Our next bill here that we have is the Q2 2026 Budget Transfers Bill 34-26.
Thank you. Very small amount here, so we only have a total of 3, so I'll just highlight 2. $800 budget transfer out of the general fund to cover total allowance for the city hall's management staff, and $3,799 budget transfer out of in the general fund for the engineering division to cover travel expenses for staff.
Okay, so there's only 3 transfers is what it is, right?
Correct.
Okay, and those are all interfund transfers.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll bring it back to the committee. Is there any questions over the transfers? Is there anybody that's not on the committee that has a question? No? Kaz, you got a question? No? Okay. Okay, then we are going to go ahead and, I guess, open it up to the public hearing. Did you have a question, Rachel?
I do not.
Nope. Okay. All right, we're going to move to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 34-26?
I do not see any members of the public wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak against?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing on Bill 34-26 and bring it back to the committee. Is there any questions or comments? No? Okay, then someone would like to make a motion regarding the bill?
I move that Bill 3426 be sent to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation.
Second?
Okay, there's been a motion and duly seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you take the roll, please?
Committee Member Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Committee Member Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kaz Marjanoon,
Aye.
Chair Nisgowsky.
Aye.
4 ayes.
Bill number 3426 will go to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation. Okay, moving right along, our next is the Q2 2026 non-bargaining salary ordinance amendment.
Yes.
It's all yours.
Yes, so we have a few amendments to the salary ordinance. Just want to talk through here briefly. In human rights, in their housing urban, their HUD division, we are proposing a new position for deputy director for human rights. That position will have a salary of $100,235. This position will not be filled this year. This is a position that we anticipate filling next year, but wanted to go ahead and get it in the salary ordinance for the upcoming budget cycle. This position is also funded out of federal grant funds that the HRC department receive each year from I think it's not from, technically not from HUD, but they receive grant funds for this, will receive grant funds and are currently receiving grant funds for another position in this division that pretty much funds this annually each year. This is not in the general fund. This is in Fund 258, which is HRC's specific grant fund for their HUD operations and EEOC division as well. Then the other amendment for HRC is the increase in salary for the executive director of human rights. And this is just due to if this position is approved at the salary that's being proposed, there would be really close salary compression between those two positions. So the proposal is to increase the current executive director's salary from $101,000 to $115,000 to alleviate that compression or that closeness in salaries for those two positions. Happy to answer any questions before going on to any other amendments.
Yes, I have a question. So I would like to know, now you're saying that both of these positions are going to be funded by grants and
No, the deputy director position will be. The executive director position is paid out of the general fund.
paid out of general fund? Okay. And this is asking for a salary increase
For the executive director,
for the executive director?
yes.
Thank you.
And I do have a question, or just clarification, I guess. So for the two positions, for the deputy director and the housing manager, those salaries that are the funds that come out of the federal grant, those salaries are also set by that grant?
Yes.
Okay. And then on the part of the executive director trying to find that cushion or separation between the two, that 115,000, that is just the cap. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what she'll be making.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councilmember Tomas Morgan?
Since we're just sticking on the human rights positions, I do have a couple questions. So just to clarify, when we were discussing this in last budget cycle, it was unclear if the amount that the city would be receiving for HRC would come at the amount that it has in the past. So are we confirming that there are sufficient funds that will be coming over from the state to fund that deputy director? That's a new deputy director position and the housing manager
Yes,
salary
Yeah,
increase?
So currently, the housing manager is, that position is filled, but that position would ultimately transition into the deputy director position for next year. And they have annually received the funding to fund that position in their budget each year. So I don't know if Trina's here, but I think they do feel comfortable that each year they do receive that amount in grant funding to support that position, and then also the other expenses within the HUD and EOC divisions.
I'm sorry, I think I don't understand that. You said that the housing manager position is going to roll into the deputy director position?
Yeah, I'll let Sandy speak.
Okay.
Hi, it's Sandra Kennedy, Corporation Counsel offices on the sixth floor of this building. The deputy director and the housing manager are effectively the same person. So
Okay,
there's not going to be another person added. It's just another position. And we wanted, in the structure of HRC, there's no deputy. So Katrina, if she's not there, there's nobody empowered to make decisions. And so we wanted to empower somebody. Right now, we're talking about the housing manager. She'll still be the housing manager, but she'll have additional responsibilities, and that's reflected in the increase in salary for that position. And then she'll train into being the deputy director. And so there will only be one person in one of the roles, and then the other role will remain unfilled, if that makes sense. And then if something happens and Esther leaves the city, it will always be either the housing manager or the employment manager who fills the role of the deputy director. That's the intention of this.
okay.
And I asked her a number of times, do you have enough money
Yeah.
to cover this position? Because the funds won't be coming out of the general fund. And she has funds she can move around within both HUD and EEOC, but she's already above her minimum number of cases for the year. So I think she's going to continue to maintain the grant funds she's receiving.
Okay. And if I understand, Councilwoman of Vice President Nitzgotsky's question is the salary is set. So for the Deputy Director of Human Rights at 100,235, that's not the max. That is set by the
That's-
state?
No, that was, so the way we came up with that number is Esther's also an H-1B. And so in order to confirm her position, we went to our outside counsel and they gave us a spectrum of salaries, and that's the absolute lowest salary for that position. So that's why it's that strange kind of number, but that was the lowest salary possible in order to keep her H-1B and to be put in that position.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. I'm familiar with the complications with that.
Well, and
piece of-
that also was the research that went into the
Mhm.
salary for the executive director. So while there is no set not by
Mhm.
HUD per se, but it's the federal government considers this a compliance position.
Mhm.
So we were looking at other area compliance positions when we came up with these numbers.
Okay, thanks, Council. I appreciate the clarification.
And I believe too, last year in the 2026, when we were doing for this year's budget, Ms. Lee did come before us when we were questioning some of the positions and how she structured her budget. And she said she would be coming with us to get those corrections. And it sounds like she's getting all of this in line so she can properly budget for her 2027. Is that correct, Sandy? I believe that's, because I remember that conversation we had with her.
Yes, she and I have been working diligently on this since
Mhm.
last year.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions regarding the bill? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for public hearing portion. Is there anyone?
The Morris.
Oh, I'm
position
sorry.
and
Yeah,
then
we
the-
still have the other ones.
Yeah,
I'm
still
sorry.
have-
I was looking at the clock thinking I got 5 minutes. Sorry.
Couple more.
Thank you, Kyle.
So next up is the Morris Performing Arts Center Division and in Venue Parks and Arts. These two positions that we have here are for salary increases, and they're more technical than anything else here. The manager for event service maintenance, the current employee, this current cap is $44,558. The current employee in that position salary is at 45,000. So when I was made aware of it, I proposed just go ahead and increasing the salary cap for this position to get that now the current employee under the salary cap for that position. And then also doing the same for the manager of assistant facility operations, which is a position below the manager of event service maintenance, to keep the salary gap consistent between those two versus raising one without the other. Also, but and just also as more background information, these two employees really are your two lowest paid managers across the city enterprise. So I increased the cap somewhat just to try to get it closer to the next lowest paid manager of the city. So and I think that position is probably a little bit over 50,000. So these aren't huge numbers, but it was just something to get back in compliance with the salary ordinance and just to try to make them a little closer to the next person.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll bring it back to the committee. Oh, one more?
One more.
Oh, you're not going to do them? Okay.
There's
So-
still one more.
Okay.
So last but not least, position in Public Works in the engineering department for the MS4 specialist, title change to MS4 coordinator. There's a slight proposed increase here also for this position, as this position, changing the title, but also this position has taken on expanded responsibilities. They are responsible for making sure that we are in compliance with IDEM responsibilities, which with storm sewer and kind of all of our other areas is always important to make sure we're environment is staying safe and we're making sure we're doing what we can. But also here today with me is Director Horvath of Public Works, if there are any other additional questions regarding this position.
Mr. Horvath, do you have any comments to make before we bring it back to the committee? Okay. So now are we through?
Was that?
That's it? You're-
That's it.
you're good.
That's it.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. So I'll bring it back to the committee then. Is there any questions from committee regarding any of this? Councilmember Tomas.
I think
Morgan.
my final question is just, it did strike me, you may have answered it previously, but we're coming into budget season now. So was just curious why these are coming now as opposed to within the budget discussion and cycle.
Well, the HRC one, I think that was earlier, that was, you know, she thought about that one earlier this year. The Morris positions that I caught prior to Q1. Ultimately, we pulled those salary ordinance amendments. One, because when we submitted the change, it would have required just a lot more administrative work. So we pulled that due to that issue and submitted those for this quarter's amendments. The MS4 was not, it wasn't even, had been brought forth at that point. So that one was fairly new for Q2, but the prior to, the HRC was up for approval in Q1. But like I said, due to my fault with submitting the changes for the Morris ones, we end up having.
Public Works Director's office on the fourth floor of this building. In terms of the MS4 one, there's a staff change, and prior to that, we had an MS4 specialist who did a number of the inspections and other work in our MS4 program, which is the municipal's separate storm sewer system program as part of our general permit for state of Indiana for our NPDS. So it's an obligation that we have to maintain a program. And so that key position that left had the ultimate regulatory compliance as well as some of the enforcement pieces and reporting pieces that they were responsible for. When that person left, we put that on the MS4 specialists so that they could do all that work. And with that, we're asking for an increase for them to be a coordinator because they have additional roles and responsibilities that they didn't used to have. And the only reason it's in between, normally this would happen during budget, totally makes sense to do it during budget. But because we had that opportunity, we took advantage of that opportunity to do it right at that time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate those explanations.
Dr. Davis, I do apologize. It looks like we're going to run over. Can I borrow a few minutes of your time? Thank you, sir. Okay. Any other questions regarding Bill 3526? Council members or committee members? Kaz, you have anything? Oh. Okay, then. Then we're going to go ahead to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone from the public here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 35-26?
At this time, I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against? I do not see anybody in the chamber.
At this time, I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing portion on Bill 3526 and bring it back to the committee. Is there any comments, questions that you may have? If not, I'll entertain a motion regarding the bill.
Move that Bill 3526 go to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation.
A second?
Okay, there's been a motion and it's been seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Committee Member Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Committee Member Gunn Rogers, Citizen Member Kaz Margino. Aye. Chair Niskoski,
Aye.
4 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 3526 will go to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation. Okay, our last bill for personnel and finance is Bill 2619, and this has to do with the negotiating team from the council for the upcoming FOP negotiations again. I know we just did this last year, but it's up again this year, and I see President Lee is here to present the bill.
Yes, thank you, Vice President Niskoski and Chair. This is just a very simple resolution announcing the negotiating team. This resolution names Attorney Bob Palmer as the council's agent negotiator on behalf of the Common Council. It also names this Common Advisory Team consisting of Rachel Thomas Morgan, Vice President Sheila Niskoski, and President Kenneth Lee to represent the council during the negotiations for the police negotiations. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. Is there any comments from any of the committee members? We've done so many negotiations over the last 4 years. This should be. Kaz, do you have any questions? No? Okay. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing portion since there's no questions from the committee or any of the council members present. Is there anyone from the public here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 2619?
At this time, I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak against?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Okay, thank you. And I see no one here in the chamber, so I'm going to close the public hearing on Bill 2619. I will bring it back to the committee. Is there any questions or comments regarding the bill? It's pretty straightforward. If not, I'll entertain a motion regarding 2619. Meaning, I need a motion.
Okay, move that Bill 2619 go to the committee of the whole with favorable recommendation.
Second?
But wait, does that go to the committee of the whole or just the full council, right?
Is the full council?
Yeah, it'll just
Full
be,
council.
yeah. So there was a motion and I believe duly seconded to send Bill 2619 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Citizen Member Gooden Rogers, I'm sorry, Council Member Gooden Rogers, I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
Aye.
Committee Member Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kaz Marginal,
Aye.
Chair Niskoski,
Aye.
4 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 2619 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. I would like to thank our citizen member Kaz for being here for the committee meetings today. And this meeting is now adjourned and we will be going into the ZNA meeting that is chaired by Dr. Davis.
Good afternoon. We'd like to commence our zoning and annexation committee for today. And we'd like for our clerk to please call the roll.
Committee Member Dr. Peidinger,
Present.
Citizen Member Stacy Odom,
Present.
Citizen Member Kay Farlow, I do see you online.
Present.
Committee Vice Chair Thomas Morgan,
Present.
Committee Chair Dr. Davis.
Present.
I have 5 members present.
Thank you. We will now hear bill number 2926.
Hi, good afternoon, committee members. Brian
Go right into that mic. a little.
Brian Killen, zoning
Yeah.
administrator on
There you
the
go.
fifth floor. We're, this is bill number 2926. All right, so it's a rezoning request for 4101 and 4115 South Main Street. It's requested to be rezoned from suburban neighborhood 1 to commercial. The suburban nature of these parcels, as you can see, have changed over time. There's basically since the area has really evolved since the early mid 2000s away from residential, and it's become largely commercial. The area being requested is like an island amongst this commercial zone along Main Street. They are requesting to, you can see the change there, to convert those two or rezone those two parcels to commercial. Right now, it is pretty much a blank slate. Any structures have been cleared. And this goes for most of Main Street here in this area has been converted to, I think there's only one residential house left on in this area. So the rezoning aligns with, again, the commercial character of the area, and the proposed use by the property owner would be a mixed-use flex space, which with kind of a small industrial artisan feel, but more for mixed-use storage. But based on our information, and you can see there's kind of a tentative plan. Obviously, we need to be zoning compliant, but this is the initial plan that was presented. And based on the information provided prior to the meeting, the Plan Commission did send this to the to Common Council with a favorable recommendation.
Okay. Any questions? Wait, no. If not, we hear from presenter. Please come forward and share your name and address and share some of your key points regarding your plan.
Good afternoon. My name is Nathan Flickner with Whiteman at 1402 East Mishawaka Avenue in South Bend. And as Brian pointed out, that the only residential house left was raised a couple weeks ago, so there is no more structures out there at all. Really just trying to get it zoned for the flex space, but we think it's going to comply with all the commercial in the area. They just started a apartment complex just northwest of there in front of the AMC Theater. So I don't think there's going to be anybody coming in for residential parcels in that area. And yeah, we'd just like to get it so we could develop a self-storage flex space area there. That site plan is just something on paper. Like he said, we're going to get that to conform to all City of South Bend regulations and codes.
Thank you so kindly. Any questions? Just done. Yes, Dr. Brown.
Can you tell us what does flex space mean?
So it's like a storage unit, but as you can see a little bit, there's a couple rooms on there. So it would have a bathroom inside there and maybe a little office space. It's more for like contractors' spaces they could pull in some of their materials before their next job and go in and write a couple quotes and make a couple phone calls and, use it for some office space also.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
Is this
Um,
right now speculative or is there,
No, if we get the zoning, we're going to move forward.
okay, so there is someone who would be occupying?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will open up for a public hearing. Those who like to speak in favor, whether you're present with us online, please share your name, address, and then share your thoughts.
At this time, I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor.
Those who would like to speak in opposition, please do likewise.
There are no individuals in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Thank you. Then we will close the public hearing and we will bring it back to our committee for any final comments or recommendation.
I'm happy to make the motion. Does this go to a committee of the whole or?
That's
to the-
correct.
Okay, so move Bill 2926 to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a second. We would like for our clerk to please take the roll.
Committee member Dr. Beidinger,
Aye.
Citizen member Stacy Odom,
Aye.
Citizen member Kay Barlow,
Aye.
Committee Vice Chair Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Committee Chair Dr. Davis.
Aye. Aye.
5 ayes.
Thank you so kindly. That will go to the committee of the whole with favorable recommendation. Now we move to bill number 3026. Bill number 3026, amending the zoning ordinance for various properties located on Scott Street, West Wayne Street, and Who's Court. Alrighty, go for it.
Yes.
Excuse me, Dr. Davis, can you please accept the substitute?
We'd like to take a motion to accept the substitute.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have to do another vote by,
Yes.
roll call? We have somebody online. Okay, please take the vote on.
Committee member Dr. Beidinger,
Aye.
Citizen member Stacy Odom,
Aye.
Citizen member Kay Barlow,
Aye.
Committee Vice Chair Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Committee Chair Dr. Davis.
Aye,
5 ayes.
thank you. We now will proceed with the substitute bill number 3026.
Great, thank you so much. Good afternoon, committee members. Mark Delastrito, zoning specialist with offices on the 5th floor of this building. This is a petition for all the addresses listed here. As was mentioned, these are on South Scott Street, West Wayne Street, and Who's Court. And this is a request for a rezoning from the current Urban Neighborhood 1 or U1 zoning district to Urban Neighborhood 2 or U2. So as you can see from these old maps, all of these lots were developed in the past, going back to the late 1800s. Over time, the structures on them were demolished until the lots were completely vacant. South Bend Heritage, a local affordable housing developer, acquired all of them over time and has already built a series of duplex on both of the Scott Street parcels, as well as 705 and 711 West Wayne, which are shown here and also up in the map on the top right. Because of the current U1 zoning designation, a special exception had to be granted for each of these structures to get built, since they're regarded as 2-unit dwellings in the zoning ordinance. However, this rezoning here came about because Heritage now intends to build more homes on 717, 723, 725, and 729 West Wayne, which are still vacant and are indicated on the map as well on the top right. Here is a proposed site plan for the project, which shows 5 duplexes. And I should note all of the properties that they've built to the east are also duplexes. Forgive me, sorry. So in order to build these homes, considering the current U1 zoning, they would either have to apply for more special exceptions or for a rezoning to a district that allows for 2-unit dwellings by right. And they chose to do the latter. And then after talking with staff, they decided to pursue a rezoning of all of their property, including the ones that have already been developed. So the 2022 Near West Side Neighborhood Plan does call for these parcels to be rezoned to U2, matching the petitioner's request. The section of the neighborhood is made up of predominantly low-density residential buildings, but it is close to the downtown fringe, meaning that a district like U2, which allows for 1 to 4 units by right, is appropriate. And the proposed development, like the buildings that they've already built just down the block, would fit contextually within the neighborhood in terms of scale and design. So this petition does come to you with a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission with a proposed written commitment that there cannot be an apartment house, so essentially a building with 3 or 4 units, cannot be built on these lots. That's what the commitment stated. However, staff would encourage the committee to send the petition to the full council with a favorable recommendation and no written commitment for a few reasons. First, as mentioned, U2 is the recommended zoning for these parcels found in the local neighborhood plan that was created with residents and adopted by council in 2022. Additionally, although the petitioner does not currently have plans to build an apartment house on these properties, this commitment would limit potential future development down the road in this area, which is close to downtown, and it would add more complexity to this rezoning process. I do want to note there was a neighbor who came to the Plan Commission meeting. They live at the house on the west side of this picture here. They came with some concerns, one of which was about potential parking congestion on the street. And while the developer is not required to do so, we wanted to know that there's lots of room on these properties in the rear for parking pads or garages or things like that to be provided. And also street parking, considering that the street is currently not very heavily trafficked, should generally be sufficient. There were also some concerns raised about utilities, specifically the age of water infrastructure in this area. However, staff wanted to point out that there have been other rezonings from U1 to U2 approved for very similar projects on North Scott Street last month, and then also on Turnock Street in 2024, where South Bend Heritage was also the developer. And Heritage's new builds on the east end of the street that I mentioned previously, I think demonstrate their ability to handle this, potential utility challenge and provide adequate service on this block. So I will go back there and happy to answer any questions or provide any clarification.
Right before we go on, could you clarify the chair of the South Bend Plan was one of the key persons that led out the discussion that we approved this bill, but included a written commitment. And several of us supported that decision, and it was passed unanimously. Oh, no, I think there were 2 people. There was 6-3 vote, I think, was it? 6-3? 6-3?
7-2, I think,
7-2.
maybe.
So overwhelmingly, it was passed that we have the written commitments, and staff presented their case. Could you please, since it was written, present the case of the chair and those and the overwhelming numbers of the people, since they did share that they wanted this to only be passed with written commitments because there was a whole concern not to even pass it, and then they said they will agree to pass it with the written commitments, and that was a long discussion. And once the written commitments were put in place, then it moved forward. So I'm a little surprised to come in here today after that discussion to request that we not utilize the written commitments when 7 out of 9 people said that the only way we move forward is for their written commitments. And so could you please do your best to advocate why those 7 out of 9 people would vote to have written commitments?
Sure. Yeah, I think I can speak to, I think there's a few main concerns. I think one of them was there's a lot of discussion of utilities and specifically water pressure and the age of water infrastructure. Specifically, I think it was noted that there's not a ton of water pressure in this area, and so that can make potentially serving these properties difficult. I think that was a big concern that was brought up. I think for staff, the looking at some other rezonings that have been approved in the past. The water infrastructure in this area is quite old, but I think we're looking at some other rezonings as well in areas where that infrastructure is also quite old. And I think kind of the heritage being able to make developments work on other parts of this block, just, a few houses down, I think to us kind of, gave some evidence that, further development, could be doable on this property. So that was one. I think parking was also brought up, specifically partially due to the width of the street. I think the Turnock Street example I mentioned, where South Bend Heritage was also the developer, got a rezoning. That street, I believe, is only 20 feet wide, and on West Wayne, it's 25. So there's a little more width there. And again, I think there's room to accommodate parking in the rear of those properties. But I think that was another concern. I think there was also the concern of technically South Bend Heritage could have gone to the Board of Zoning Appeals and applied for special exceptions for all the duplexes, and then come to council for special exceptions instead of a rezoning. And I think the main rationale was realizing that since they were going to have to go through a public process no matter what, that a rezoning could potentially work as well, because it would allow for the proposed plan, and it also does align with what the neighborhood plan shows as well. So I think that was kind of the reason behind that request. So I think it was the potentially asking for a bit more density, considering that U2 allows for 4 units. The utilities and parking, I think, were some of the main concerns and reasons for those written commitments.
And you brought up a good point in terms of the fact that the option to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals was discussed, but they would have to, on each parcel, deal with a decision, and there are multiple issues here. And so they said that would cost them several $100s more to do that, they discussed, and they would have to do each one separately. And so the alternative to them having to do that was to write the written commitments, and the presenter agreed to go ahead and do that as an alternative to that, which satisfied the discussion and concluded the discussion at 7 to 9 votes from that standpoint. And then today, it's kind of interesting. I just need to clarify a point of information, then I'd open it up to our attorney, because I'm a little cloudy on this issue. If we vote, I know the Plan Commission is an advisory board. So if they sent this to us and they had a written commitment recommendation with it, with 7 to 9 votes, but the staff is wanting it to go forward. It was sent to us with written commissions. They are wanting the written commitments to be deleted from that, according to his presentation. Before I'm a little cloudy on where we go on that?
I don't believe they can remove that recommendation. I do not believe that the staff can remove the recommendation for a written commitment.
Can you clarify that?
But though.
You could, the council can. The council can do whatever it wants with the written commitment, but the staff cannot bring the advisory commission's recommendation to you without the written commitment.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, but I didn't. Okay, I'm at peace. We have questions before we move forward. Councilwoman Rachel Thomas Morgan. I saw some others. Could you please move forward? Go ahead.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and ask your question?
I have a feeling it's the same kind of question. I want to know why you don't want the written commitment in there.
Yeah, I think from a staff's point of view, I think it adds a bit of just kind of complexity to the process. And I think we generally just try to avoid written commitments where possible for that reason.
I think,
Go for it.
I think we'd also, as a zoning office, don't want to set a precedent where we put a neighborhood plan in place that was engaged with the community, was adopted by council, and now we're saying we don't agree with that as well. So we're setting a precedent. Also, we're getting a lot of credence to the engineering component, which typically from a land use perspective, we wouldn't, low water pressure can usually be overcome through engineering, boosters, loops, and things like that. So not really giving too much credence to the engineering and honoring the neighborhood plan that was adopted, we felt very strongly that U2 was the cleanest, rezoning to U2 was the cleanest for this area. And we felt, as development occurs, it does get, engineering is always a complicated issue. We have very old mains, and we don't want that to be the thing that stops redevelopment. And again, we want to honor the neighborhood plan that was already adopted, so.
But it seems to me that the written commitment is making sure that we don't go above a certain number of housing units, which actually then would better support the current infrastructure. If we put apartments on there, then that stretches us, right? And the written commitment is to say the Heritage Foundation won't put apartments on there, but rather do duplexes, correct?
Well, there was no plan for them to do homes, so that was also a key factor. Their proposal was to do duplexes,
Correct.
so.
And the commitment is we won't do apartments.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not seeing why that's
It's just
an
another
issue.
step that we thought what the development was going to
He
was
said
going to
he
be
was gonna go ahead and
presented.
do it anyway.
Okay,
I don't-
I'll yield. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask my question this way, and you can provide more information for committee and others. In U2 Urban Neighborhood District, we can allow for multiple units. So can you just say a little bit more about that? What is allowable in
An
U2?
apartment house up to 4 units.
Say that again loudly.
Apartment house style home up to 4 units.
And so that
To be
could look,
densest, it could go.
yeah, that could look like in an urban area. There's actually one on Scott Street, a little further
There's one on
north.
Orange Avenue across from that's a.
Well, and on Scott Street, actually, just north of that block, there's a sixplex apartment. Isn't that right? The old brick building. So this is my neighborhood. I live just right around the corner on Chapin Street. So I'm a little, I'm just gonna say I'm a little conflicted here. As this was all our neighborhood plans received robust neighborhood engagement. This in particular is a very active neighborhood. So it does fit with the U2 neighborhood proposed zoning in this area. So the brown is all the proposed zoning that the neighborhood wanted to see. We preserved some U1 and we want those preserved, just as a caution moving forward. But the fact that the neighborhood did propose U2 neighborhood zoning for those parcels shows that the neighborhood is open to denser housing on those lots. And so I think I'm trying to understand just in terms of form, I think the neighborhood is fine with that density, but it seems that the concerns from the area plan is really about utility and stretching water usage, which you say really isn't a concern in the area.
Not from a land use perspective, and not what used to
can't
really
probably hear you.
dictate the neighborhood plan.
But they're not, so they're only proposing duplexes right now. You're saying that moving forward into the future, there could be a plan for apartments.
Half of the development's already developed, so Scott and Wayne are already duplexes. So we're really just saying, well, if they decide not to do duplexes, if we did no written commitments, they could put up to, a 2 or 3 apartment homes on there with a density of no more than 4 units.
They could put, say that again, they could put,
Well, if you did no
2
written
or-
commitments, you're allowed to do up to 4 units as an apartment house.
right,
Um,
they could put one apartment house with 4 units in it.
Or 2, or whatever would fit through zoning requirements on that. But again, that's not what was proposed. What's proposed is more duplexes. And we felt that the written commitment was just another, maybe an unnecessary step in this scenario, given that most of the area is already developed.
Mhm.
It's really these parcels, and they
Mhm.
threw in the other parcels to meet the neighborhood plan.
Mhm.
So,
Is it their intention to want to do more density there with the apartments?
no. Which is why would you, okay, so I can see the argument both
Yeah.
ways. You could see, well, why don't you just do the written commitment? Well, again, that's another step for the developer to do. So whereas just do the U2 straight rezoning, and you still get really the same outcome.
Part of that was not only that, because the zoning not only goes with this particular developer, part of that same argument was in the future. And so it was not only their intention, if they're saying, first of all, they agreed to this, and so it wouldn't be a problem to delay it. But secondly, if they were not the developers, then whoever would take over this could also do that because it would already be zoned without having to come back before us again, because they already have the permission to do that. That was a part of that discussion.
That's a big what if, yes. But that is correct.
I understand, but that was I'm just telling you what was a part of the discussion.
That is part of the discussion.
I'm
with
just
the
sharing
specter
that.
of more density, yes.
In its full context. Yes, sir. Mr. President.
I'm not on the committee, but what is the likelihood of someone building duplexes and then coming back and putting
Unlikely.
apartments?
Fourplexes are very expensive and require sprinkler systems, which is a huge up calculation in their costs.
Yeah.
We don't see market rate fourplexes for a reason, because because they're considered commercial buildings. There's definitely a cost increase. That's why you see a lot of requests for duplexes, because they're allowed to be treated as that single family building model versus a commercial building, which requires sprinkler and fire suppression.
And as we can see in other areas, that's what South Bend Heritage is really good at, is building duplexes and
So
not.
far, the proof is in that's what they're doing. We don't have any information to believe otherwise. And we didn't feel like they're a dedicated community partner and builder. They wouldn't, why make them go through an extra step of the written commitment? I think is ultimately what we're sticking, really, I think committed to that request. That's why we brought it. We took the risk of bringing that to you. I know it is unusual. Yes.
May I make a comment?
And they're also, and it's also zoned, it's part of the neighborhood plan for what the neighborhood has agreed that they would like to see in that area.
Right,
Well, U2 zoning,
U2, and we
not
don't,
necessarily.
and we don't consider parking. We have no parking minimums. Parking is not an issue. Engineering can be figured out as part of the development. This developer is is committed to proposing duplexes, and they have built them in many areas of the city. So I just, it's up to you guys, but we wanted to throw out there. We really didn't think it was an extra step that was necessary. So we wanted to offer another option.
I'm referring to Ms. Tomas's comment about that the neighborhood was very involved in this. And they went to the meetings, they came up with that decision, they came up with this plan. So you're asking us to go against what that group of people worked together on?
No,
No, we're asking you to
Yeah.
agree with that plan.
I can clarify. Yeah.
Okay,
This is,
please.
they're essentially asking us to agree to the plan. So it is, this is within even the 3 and 4 plex apartments is within U2
Yeah.
zoning,
That part,
which is what the neighborhood proposed zoning is in the neighborhood plan.
but the
U2.
written commitment is to say no to the 3-4 unit type building, but rather a duplex, right?
Correct, from
So-
area plan.
Right.
Mhm.
And so the neighborhood, those meetings establish that, yes, we're going to go to U2 zoning, but we want a written commitment from the Heritage Foundation that they will only build duplexes? Am I understanding this correct?
No.
That's how I was
No,
reading
no.
it.
I think the
We have
written
one-
commitments came from the area plan.
The area
not
plan,
residential.
that didn't,
South Bend plan.
it
Okay.
didn't come from the neighborhood, but it was, I can see where area plan comes in here. They're just wanting
Okay.
to safeguard,
Right.
protect the neighborhood, and I appreciate that. very much. This is where I'm kind of conflicted. So I think I'm just not seeing a really good argument for not having the written commitment,
Okay.
other than ease. I
I'm-
mean, like, let's debate this, right? I mean, this is what
Right.
we're here for.
Yeah.
So let's just talk this through.
Yes, the
Give me a
plan-
better justification for why do without the
We
written
strongly
commitment.
feel the neighborhood plan itself is the justification.
Yeah.
We do
Yeah.
not consider, we typically do not consider engineering concerns. We don't consider parking concerns. Don't feel that, people do bring up safety concerns, but that's inherent in any city and any street. This is so we felt, also, I felt strongly that SB Heritage has been a committed partner in developing the city. Why should we apply this arbitrary decision to them versus someone could go buy a U2 property or maybe a U1 and try to rezone it. And just because maybe there's no pushback, maybe there's no remonstrance, maybe there's great water pressure, we would say, sure, that's fine. I don't think that those things are not hurdles we need to put in front of the SB Heritage.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to it. Yeah. I mean, that's, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
And the written commitment that came from area plan wasn't in response to an immediate neighbor or neighbors to include that written commitment. I mean, Dr.
No, that was,
Councilman
no,
Davis?
there was a neighbor that did come.
Yeah, there was one neighbor.
It started with the whole conversation from a neighbor that brought in concerns. And then after the neighbor brought in concerns, the chair of the committee also started discussing the concerns. And then I brought up the issue from when we were trying to clarify these concerns about the possibility of them. No, it wasn't me. One of us, we had a discussion on why can't this go to the Board of Zoning Appeals? And it was said that they would have to go parcel by parcel to do that. And then we said, I asked, how much would that cost? Would there be any charge of that? And they said there was a fee of so many dollars. I'm almost want to say $1,500. I think something like that.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, so $1,500, that would be the price of them going that way. And they could go from that standpoint, but they would have to go from that standpoint. And when we were having that discussion, then came the alternative by the chair, well, let's do written commitments. So we will honor the neighbor that came that had concerns. We will honor what the developer is trying to do, and we can move forward. And then the developer came up and agreed that they will still move forward with the written commitments. And so then there was a vote, and it was 7-2. And so that's what happened. There was an engineer that shared some thoughts. I can't remember everything she shared. I won't quote an engineer, but she was sharing. It's all there in the written. I don't know, we've all gotten the whole transcript yet of everybody. So, I mean, it was a lively discussion back and forth. The only concern that I have is, given their wish, and which, we have a right to change, I would prefer if everybody got a chance to hear the full opposition before we made the final decision. And if even we delayed this for to the next meeting, I'm good. I just think that, you made your case, which I think is your same case that you made at the meeting. I have no problems with that. I just think that the case, and I don't want to be the only ones, because there was about 3 or 4 other people speaking that were in opposition. That's why it was 7-2. And it wasn't just me. And I wasn't the one that even initiated the written commitments. A couple of the other colleagues. And this is the South Bend plan, because everybody's with the South Bend. There's now area plan, which is county. So this was a concern, and they brought it up, recognizing the neighborhood situation, like you have referenced, but also addressing that. So it was a neighbor brought it up. And so my thought is, given your challenge to it, I would wish that we could go back and just hear that. And if we come back in our next meeting and we pass it, I'm fine with that. But I just think that to pass it without hearing the other side does not give us due diligence, and that's the only because I was not aware that there was going to be a difference in,
Yeah.
I wasn't
understood.
aware of that, else I would have alerted that. So that's all I say. I mean, we have a right to pass it all on and do it tonight, but
Yeah, there's anything to hold up. If you, again,
I just think that they just need to hear both sides. That's
I
all.
need to hear both sides. Excuse me, can
Go
I say
ahead,
that?
go ahead, no, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I need
No,
to hear
please.
both sides.
Go-
So
go
it's
ahead.
my understanding, a neighborhood association or a neighborhood group made an agreement with them for, no?
no.
Okay, so
Mm-mm.
explain it to me, because I don't
The
understand.
neighborhoods, when they did their neighborhood plan, they advocated for the U2, okay?
Okay,
And so that's what they had. But this is one piece of it that was not there. In that part of it, is that correct? One piece of it was that was not included in U2. Was it right sitting up there in that little section? Could you show them that section? And so there you go. And so when they came back and they wanted to say, well, with the neighborhood plan, we want to do this with South Bend Heritage, who has been a good partner, like you said. And so when they made their presentation, then a neighbor from the area got up and shared similar concerns about what was going on. I agree the parking is mute because we don't deal with that, but had other concerns. Then the chair of the committee, other people, we had the engineer of the city or one of the who works up there, they talked about all these different questions from the water to different places. We then said, well, why was this to our committee? Why couldn't this go to zoning? A board of area, they said it would have to be different parcels and monies would cost more for them. That's why they brought it to us. And then there was a good discussion that's pretty much like we're having right now. That was, we stayed in it for a while. And there was a final vote 7-2. And then, for us to have written commitments to try to balance it out because it was a long discussion and we all wanted to come to some kind of consensus with the neighbor to honor the neighborhood plan and to honor what the city had presented. So that's where he presented the plan that he shared. And I just think that you all need to hear the other side and then make a decision. If you make it, but follow that 7-2, fine. If you follow what they wish, we
I
can
would
make
like to
that
hear the
thing.
other side. I would like to hear all of it.
I-
That's all.
I'm fine with that too. There, I have a neighborhood meeting there tomorrow night, so I'd be happy to.
That'd be
bring this up.
good.
And so just to clarify, I mean, the neighborhood did approve U2 zoning for this area. I mean, the neighborhood map will show kind of what the intention moving forward is in the neighborhood plan that's on the Together South Bend website. This is usually gold for me when I'm making zoning decisions. And so,
But it's
you know,
really come down to
I
the
do.
written commitment. Like if you guys, again, I don't want to
Yeah.
complicate, I don't want to delay. All I was
Yeah.
saying is that we feel that we should really stick to the neighborhood plan. If you guys think that the written commitment is just an extra safety net, that I'm fine with that. I was just giving
Yeah.
the option.
I mean, we haven't been all that consistent. I mean, this council did rezone a U2 property to commercial earlier this year, which I was against, and the neighborhood was. But I think to be fair, if what I'm hearing from the committee is, as long as it doesn't hold up South Bend Heritage in terms of construction for 2 more weeks.
Yeah. Question,
we
when can we all get the transcript for that? How soon can we get that? So I know the meeting was last week. We had the meeting on last Monday
Last
at 3
Monday.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Pardon me? 4 o'clock.
It was last Monday, yeah. So
Yes,
have-
ma'am,
we have
last
the
Monday,
transcript.
4.
We have the recording.
Okay,
So,
if that could be sent to everybody and we can, everybody can review that. And if you have any questions, we can email you. And from that standpoint, if there's any other concerns that are brought up, if you could try to address those so we can move forward with a more expeditiously. I mean, I'm okay. I mean, I don't think 2 weeks. Anybody from South Bend Heritage is here? Hi, with 2 weeks, we still, could you come up, please? Thanks. With all due respect, I appreciate what you do. And you're part of the discussion last week too. So just state your name and address.
Chris Godlewski, Marsh Consultants, representing Marco Mariani from South Bend
I
Heritage.
appreciate your
The
kindness.
apologies, he can't be here today.
I understand.
You just want me to answer that one question?
About the 2 weeks issue.
I think that would be fine if you need to consider it more thoroughly. Yep.
Yeah, because I appreciated your
Because you'll make
discussion in
that
meeting.
decision
Yeah.
in 2 weeks on that night as well then. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
I appreciate it. What's the, back to the attorney then, what would be our suggested, given the nature of everything that's occurred today, what would be the suggested, motion, sir?
I would move to table it to whatever the date of our next meeting is.
And
Do we have to have a public hearing prior to that, or do we not?
Pardon me.
Yeah, as Councilman Davis asked, do
Do we have to have a
public
public hearing today for that, or can we
No.
just table it?
No, you can table without public hearing.
Okay, I would like, if
Go ahead.
Chair,
I'm at peace.
I'll make a motion to table, where are we? Bill 3026 for 2 weeks. Bring it back for discussion and public hearing on, that would be July 13th. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I'll second that.
Okay, since it's been moved and seconded, could we have, Clerk Dorado could, take the
Yes.
roll?
Committee Member Dr. Beidinger,
Aye.
Citizen Member Stacy Odom,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kay Farlow,
Aye.
Committee Vice Chair Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Committee Chair Dr. Davis.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay, thank you. We have one more bill to discuss. And before we discuss that, anytime you have somebody that's in the nature of who he is, you have to acknowledge him in the audience. And I just want to acknowledge the presence of our former mayor, Mayor Steve Lickey. And so, yes, got a chance to serve with you. So you walk in, I got to just salute you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate your service to this city. And he was a former president of this council too, so I got to doubly salute him. All righty, back to the agenda. Bill number 3226, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at Coal Line Trail at 1241 Riverside Drive.
Great. Yes, thank you so much. Good afternoon again. Mark Delastrito, zoning specialist with the city of South Bend, with offices on the 5th floor of this building. This one should be a little quicker. This is a petition for rezoning of 5 currently unzoned parcels occupied by the Coal Line Trail to open space. So this process is essentially a formality. The city of South Bend owns this land and acquired it from the Railroad Company Norfolk Southern in the 2010s and has since transformed it into the Coal Line Trail. Since the land used to be railroad right-of-way, it was not in a dedicated parcel. However, when the city created the trail, they created these parcels, but they were not given a zoning district. So this rezoning will assign these properties the open space zoning designation, which is intended for parks and open spaces like the Coal Line Trail. This petition comes to the committee with a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission.
Okay, you have our presenter.
Hi, I'm the presenter.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
it's city-owned property,
for it.
so, yeah.
You can present, I need to ask our president a question real quick.
Sure. Yeah, I guess my presentation is what I stated before. Yeah, happy to answer any questions if needed.
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna go ahead and go to the public hearing. All those who'd like to speak in favor of this bill, Bill 2617, would you please share your thoughts, or your name, your thoughts, and come forward? Whether you're online or whether you're in person.
At this time, I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor.
Okay, those who'd like to speak in opposition of this bill, would you please share your name and thoughts?
At this time, I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Okay. Well, that's the wrong bill, the 3226. Therefore, we will close the public hearing and we'll bring it back to our committee for a recommendation of further comments.
I'd like to move that we send Bill 32-26 to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Would our clerk please take the roll?
Committee Member Dr. Bidinger,
Aye.
Citizen Member Stacy Odom,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kay Farlow,
Aye.
Committee Vice Chair Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Committee Chair Dr. Davis.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes.
Thank you. We had, for our discussion, we had asked for a total of 20 minutes. Well, really up to 30, up to 20 minutes, I believe that's what it was, or up to moving forward. We may have to discuss this and break it up in 2 parts. Just the nature of what we have to deal with today, but because we have so much, but anyway, starting on May 12th, 2026, on Tuesday, Councilwoman Ophelia Gooden Rogers and I attended a neighborhood meeting at the Charles Black Center in South Bend. And we all were asked different questions that day about from the committees that were there. And of course, mine dealt with zoning and annexation, being the chair. And when we were looking at ways to establish a neighborhood fund, I thought that was very interesting to look at that from the zoning and annexation committee. So I went back and did some homework. And in reviewing that, it says this, that the South Bend Common Council Zoning Annexation Committee must leverage the committee's specific jurisdiction over land use, rezoning, and volunteer municipal annexations. While the committee does not directly appropriate city budget monies, which is handled by the Personal Finance Committee, it acts as a critical gateway for legislative strategies, resources. And it talked about the issue of the Zoning and Annexation Committee, how we review fiscal plans and implement relating, expanding the city boundaries. And it looks at other ways that we can work with developers who wish to exceed their issues of terms of making them legally and responsible for funding these kind of activities. And we wanted to make sure that this is not just a what we would call a race-based kind of a program. This is a proposed place-based environment justice initiative, which means it's based on your location. If you live in the area, you would get the benefit from the area. It's not based on you white, black, Hispanic, or Italian, whatever. It's place-based environmental justice initiative. And so there are zoning financial responsibilities. And so over the last few weeks, I've been reviewing that. And then I reached out to our attorney and asked him to just give a brief summary. And we'll start off with that, and then we'll come back later. We'll hear a couple of comments, and then we'll hear from our attorney regarding just the financial role of us looking at what does that entail.
Well, let me start out by saying that this is authorized by a relatively recent state statute. These types of housing developments or neighborhood developments. As far as I can tell, as of this point, there's been no other city of any size in the state of Indiana that has utilized this type of plan. So there's very little to go from. As far as financial, a lot of it comes from grants and donations. We have to search those grants and donations down and put them into a dedicated plan for a specific neighborhood community. With respect to zoning in particular, we have to change our focus on zoning. We need to focus on how to incentivize more affordable housing for an entire group, an entire neighborhood, that instead of particular parcels of property. We've seen a lot over the last several months of taking parcels of property and developing them into duplexes. And those are not necessarily affordable housing. Some of them are, some of them are not. But from a zoning point of view, we have to develop plans. As this article I pulled says, affordable housing issues implicate numerous areas of law and public policy, including land use and zoning, civil rights, compliance, public finance, etc. Local governments therefore frequently rely on legal counsel to assist with housing initiatives, ordinance drafting, compliance review, and funding agreements, development negotiation, litigation risk, etc. As the attorney for this body, I would be focused, I think, mainly on litigation risk, given the environment that our country is currently in. And given the report that we have been presented, we have to make sure that we comply with federal law while also attempting to comply with the intent of the report that we recently have. This article also says many jurisdictions have increasingly adopted mixed income housing models under which affordable housing units are integrated into market rate developments. Local governments frequently encourage these developments through density bonuses, tax incentives, expedited permitting, fee reductions, and inclusionary zoning programs. I'm not sure that in the past few years, our focus has been on affordable housing for an entire neighborhood. We have focused more on affordable housing in spot rezoning, spot parcels. So we need to focus on that for the entire neighborhood instead of specific parcels of property. This article goes on to say, with zoning laws, there's an increased risk of increased housing costs. And that's what we need to be focused on, that we do not inadvertently increase housing costs for our neighborhood. Increased housing cost and decreased housing inventory go hand in hand, which is something that we need to focus on as a council. And these increasing housing cost and decreased housing inventory can be due to a singular focus on one type of housing rather than a mixed model, density and lot requirements that immediately disqualify affording housing initiatives, and tenancy and same unit occupation requirements hindering accommodating a larger number of personnel within a housing area. We just had a brief discussion on how to avoid increasing the density of an area or parcels, but possibly looking at from the other point of view, we need to increase the density in neighborhoods in order to make affordable housing a priority. This sounds all very, very confusing. It is. We have competing interests, both as a city and as representatives of neighborhoods. It would be nice if all of our interests always coalesced into a single plan, but they don't. And our report that we were presented with, I think, focuses us on how we need to concentrate on one area or one type of area instead of the city overall, which of course is going to raise concerns about the other parts of the city. So
I appreciate what you're saying, and that's why I opened up with this part when it said that this is a place-based environmental justice initiative, not a race-based program, because you're talking about the whole neighborhood, so whoever lives in that neighborhood. And so when at the meeting and we all were given questions, and of course, me being zoning, and it was good to look at this whole concept as we bring in this whole report to talk about a housing fund. I know in the past, when we've looked at the community development committee, economic community, whatever that. We looked at.
Community investment.
Thank you. It was changed over my time since I've been here. Looked at how we did TIF, and we had points. We would put certain points for different people if they helped out doing certain things. This looks similar to that, but this helps us look at direct funding that comes from their monies from those kind of things. And so it has a very interesting role with zoning, and it's a financial role with zoning, and yet it also incorporates us working with the Personnel and Finance Committee. It incorporates us. We had a discussion because even last week there was this parts of this that helps us with the area dealing with housing insecurity that was discussed last week's committee. So this covers a lot of different areas. So you talk about the complexity of it. We are the gateway, like it said. We could be the gateway with a financial focus in zoning to help us to tie with that. I'm glad to see Mr. Scott. We have had several talks regarding this, so we could really not only look at him as a person who is community investment, only works with our economic team, but also works with the zoning and works with that because this is a wider focus, like you just said in your presentation. So I was glad to, we were corresponding, and we even had breakfast this week, I think, coming up, right? So put that on my schedule again. But a lot of conversation. So we can have that coordination between the administration and the zoning and all the other committees. And so that standpoint. So that's the goal of reporting back to here. Can we take any other comments real quick for about 2 comments and then we close it out? From anybody in any council person?
22 minutes over.
I know, we 22.
Quickly.
Anybody else has a comment or any wishes or anything else? I want to thank our attorney. We have the last thing I will ask in terms of, you had said that it needs to be a resolution instead of any kind of ordinance when you make these kind of funds. Could you clarify that, please?
Sure. The state statute refers to a resolution. I have not looked at that in a great detail, saying that we cannot do it by ordinance, but the state statute itself refers to a resolution.
Okay. I know different members of the neighborhood committee have submitted a lot of questions for me, and what we can do. What's the best way to send them to you and still have public comment without having? I know we're running against time. What's the best way to proceed with the questions? Just email them to you and.
That would be fine. They could email them to me directly, and I would try to answer them as I do to any member of the public who emails me a question.
Okay, and then you could email them back to me, and then I can forward them to them.
Sure.
And we can make that as a part of the record later on, and then we'll follow this up in other discussions, because I think it's an excellent idea how we can work with other committees to do that. Thank you.
I agree.
Yes, you agree? Anything
I
else?
do.
How so?
I think it'd be great to work together to get a solution.
Okay, I'm at peace, y'all. This has been me behind. I appreciate it. I didn't realize the other situation was going to happen, but it did. And but we are going to try to move forward. I thank you all. And I'm good. I need to take a break.
Good afternoon. We're going to go right into the Community Investment Committee meeting. Clerk Toronto, will you call the roll, please?
Committee Member Niskoski,
Present.
Committee Member Bolden Simpson,
Present.
Citizen Member Kevin Upton, yes, Citizen Member Thomas Gripe, Committee Vice Chair, who will be chairing our committee this afternoon, Gooden Rogers. I have
Here.
5 members present.
All right. Okay, do we have a presenter? Oh, should you read the substitute first?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
you can accept the sub, ask the committee to accept the sub.
I'll entertain a motion, make a motion to accept substitute bill 3126.
Second.
You need roll call?
Oh, you
Because
wanted to,
everyone's present, we just need acclamation.
Okay.
Because everyone's present, we just need acclamation.
I'm sorry, I was just looking.
Okay.
So if everyone could say aye for accepting the
Aye.
sub.
aye.
Aye.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Molnar, good evening.
Thank you, council members. Joe Molnar, Deputy Director with the Department of Community Investment with offices on the 5th floor of City Hall. I'm very happy today to bring you 2 affordable housing projects that are really transformative, each in their own way. The first is Substitute Bill 31-26 regarding the Western Avenue Transformation District. Just to give a little bit of background and ground where we are. So today primarily we'll be concerned with the former Rabbi Shulman property. That is outlined in blue here. That is what is phase 1A of the Western Avenue Transformation District plan. Phase 1B, which we will also reference, which is in the works, but it is just a year behind the cycle, is outlined here in orange. That is on currently held redevelopment commission, City of South Bend land, that would be also constructed affordable housing on. And then a potential phase 2, which we won't get into too much today, would be roughly where the green is here. Just to ground yourself as well, this is immediately west of Four Winds Field on the southwest side of downtown South Bend. So what is the Western Avenue Transformation District? Well, it's the redevelopment of former dilapidated public housing developments on the southwest edge of downtown that are owned by the Housing Authority of South Bend, former the Rabbi Shulman apartment building, as well as the Monroe Circle apartments. In total, phase 1A and 1B will create 210 mixed income housing units, and we'll get into the breakdown in a moment, which is a collaboration between the Housing Authority of South Bend, the City of South Bend, and also the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County, all coming together to help make this project possible. With the aid also of the developer, the Michaels Organization, and the Housing Authority of South Bend as developers together. The Michaels Organization itself, TMO, is a national affordable housing developer with extensive experiences with partnerships with housing authorities coming in and helping manage housing authority property and affordable housing property. TMO was awarded the project and working through with other partners through a competitive request for proposal process that the Housing Authority of South Bend put out. So the Housing Authority asked nationwide for developers to submit proposals to help be a partner in this project, and TMO was awarded that by the Housing Authority. Funding for the project is very diverse, bringing in a lot of different resources to help get this project done, including the Lilly Endowment Award, which is through the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County, Ready 2.0 dollars, HUD Section 108 loan, LIHTC tax credits, private equity, and then other small amount of local partners funding as well. So just a timeline, this has been multi-year in the making process, dating back to the fall of 2023 when Monroe Circle townhomes were demolished. Then really that kicked off from there once those older housing was determined no longer to be viable to be rehabbed moving forward. There was a lot of asbestos in the units. The idea was let's just clear the units and build something better and newer back for those residents. That kicked off the neighborhood visioning meetings, which happened in August of 2022-24. And then there was a Ready Blight Award in December of that year. There was more community feedback throughout 2025 of what would people in the community want to see in this area. And then fast forward to January of this year, the former Rabbi Shulman apartment building was demolished as part to clear way for this project as well. And in February, low-income housing tax credits were awarded to the project by the IHCDA, the state. In May of 2026, the city was awarded a $10 million loan that will be paid back through HUD itself, Section 108 loan, to pay for the infrastructure of the project as well as reimbursement of those demolitions. Just for reference, the city did apply for that loan back in September of 2025. due to the government shutdown, and then HUD reworked its requirements for a lot of these processes. We got stuck kind of in limbo for a very long time, and that's delayed the project a little bit, but now we have received that award, and we will be able to use those federal dollars right here in South Bend. So there is a phased approach to the Western Ave Transformation District in general. Phase 1A is what the pilot is related to today, but I wanted Phase 1B here, which will hopefully break ground next year in 2027 as well, so you can have that breakdown. So Phase 1A is 156 total units. 48 of those must be affordable under to households making under 50% area median income. Just for reference, so they must be affordable. For example, a household of 2, maybe a single parent and a child, to someone making under $35,000 a year. Household of 4 must be affordable to someone making a household making under $44,000 and reserved those family incomes. What is affordable? Well, HUD, which dictates a lot of this language, states that you cannot spend more than a third or 30% of your monthly income on housing. So meaning that if you, as a household making under that $35,000, you would qualify, and your rent would not be more than 30% of your monthly income. And then there's 46 unrestricted units as well in the Phase 1 project. In addition to those AMI breakdowns, all of the 30% and 50% AMI, so 75 units in total, also will receive project-based vouchers through the Housing Authority. TMO, which will manage the actual units, will work off a wait list provided by the Housing Authority for those vouchers, and former residents who lived in Rabbi Shulman and Monroe Circle will have priority for those project-based vouchers if they desire to return. Getting into how this project is funded, as I said, there's multiple avenues to try to get this transformative project done. The city can't do it alone. We have to make sure that we're bringing in every federal and state resource that we can possibly find. So for the 156 units in Phase 1A, which also includes a new park space built and which will be managed by the developer, that will be free and open to anyone in the city, but of course, it probably mostly likely be used by residents on site, as well as the intention to have daycare on site serving residents as well. The total cost of that is a little over $59 million. That includes the demolitions that already occurred, but you can see the breakdown here from the various sources of income, the largest being the LIHTC private equity that was able to be brought in. And then the city will use the Section 108 loan. The city was the actual recipient. That money will go into the infrastructure, the new street that's going to be built, the new sidewalks, utilities, as well as improvements to Western Ave and some of the other side streets as well, to make it not only a great apartment building, but a great community around it, well-built public services around it for better connections to downtown. Real briefly on low-income housing tax credit projects in the city limits. This is the primary tool for helping get affordable housing, new affordable housing built, as well as rehabbing existing affordable housing. The city has been partner with developers for 9 awards since 2022. The previous 10 years, we had 0. So we had a big backlog of trying to make sure that we were getting these resources into South Bend. You can see them here. 5 of the 6 common council districts are referenced. And this is also a combination of some of these are local partners, some are regional and outside resources, some are a combination of the two. So just wanted to highlight that we are doing everything in our power to make sure that these LIHTC credit opportunities do come to South Bend. So what will the end project look like? So this is the view from the northeast. So if you were standing on Western and you were a drone a couple hundred feet in the air, looking to the southwest, you can see a new building at that corner, as well as many other smaller buildings mixed in as well, really creating a whole new neighborhood. Here would be the view from the ground floor, making sure that this is an inviting, well-built space that has good urban design principles. And then this is the view from the other direction, looking northeast at downtown. As you can see, so this front area here, the renderings will change slightly over time from the final, but this is the park space here that will be built to serve residents as well and give them green space. So kind of sum it up, all new construction of all new housing units for these residents, streetscape improvements, increasing connection with downtown South Bend, on-site childcare daycare center, and then the new park space as well kind of wraps up Phase 1A. So what would the council be voting on today? Because many of those, the LIHTC grants and the HUD have already all been approved and are ready to go. What's before you today is the payment in lieu of taxes ordinance that would help support the project as well. Interestingly enough, because this land was always operated independently by the Housing Authority, being a federal program, it did not pay any taxes for its history since the 1960s. So this is actually an increase in taxes over what has been paid recently, because now that TMO is a partner with the Housing Authority, it has to be taxable at that point. The owner of the land will be Western Avenue One LLC, which is a partnership entity between the Housing Authority and the Michaels organization. That's why they're both listed as developers. And it commits them to those 156 units, and 110 of them being those affordable rent breakdowns that I detailed earlier. You can see on the right, so the pilot would be for 15 years, starting at 21,000 and then slowly increasing with inflation over time. A little bit on pilots. I know this is only the second one that has come before the council recently. The property owner would pay the city a negotiated amount instead of paying traditional taxes. This is very similar to a tax abatement, helping incentivize affordable housing. However, it provides certainty to the owner of what the actual tax amount would be. Tax abatements can just be estimates based on assessed value. This actually states in the ordinance exactly each year what the amount would be. This helps support affordable housing while still ensuring that the city receives revenue during that LIHTC period. And state law dictates that revenue brought in from the pilot must be deposited into an affordable housing fund, which the council set up during the last pilot process. And then those funds will be reinvested back into housing, making 80% affordable to those making 80% AMI and less. So summary on today, construct new affordable housing for the Housing Authority South End Block, which leverages different resources for investment. As I said, the city cannot do it alone. We really need to make sure we're taking advantage of all these opportunities that could be available, while doing so in a quality urban design, making sure that this fits the city well and as well as enjoyable for the residents to be in. And in addition to what was the Rabbi Shulman and Monroe Circle before, both the pilot having an active agreement with the city and the low-income housing tax credit active agreement with the IHCDA, that allows for greater protections to monitor the property conditions, which did not exist previously. So being a LIHTC property now, which was not before, the IHCDA, the state actually has mandatory inspections that they do as well. And then the pilot agreement with the city, that's something that, we then are into an active agreement with the entity as well, which gives us leverage to make sure that the property is maintained over time and not just built right once and then moved on from. So moving forward, what is the timeline? In the summer and fall of 2026, the city plans to begin infrastructure work. We've gone out to bid for that infrastructure work. We've not received bids yet. Then hopefully in early 2027 or perhaps even earlier, the Michaels organization will begin the housing construction and full construction of the phase 1A complete by the end of the year 2028. Again, we're hoping that's actually more closer to the summer of 2028, but I want to be reasonable with expectations. We'll leave you with the rendering, and there are representatives from the Michaels organization here, as well as the Housing Authority, who can add a little color to what I said.
Thank you, Joe. Hi, I'm Andrea Keeney. I'm a Vice President of Development with the Michaels Organization. We are thrilled to be here tonight and advance this project. It's been a long time in the making, as Joe mentioned. We started working on this about 1.5 years ago. Did receive an award of tax credits from the IHCDA in February and anticipate closing on the project at the end of this year. The first phase, as Joe mentioned, will encompass 156 units housed in 7 buildings. Our property management arm will be overseeing the project. And so we currently manage about 75,000 units of housing nationwide. We are very on top of our game with property management. So if there's any concerns about that, I'm happy to answer those questions. But as Joe mentioned, there is going to be significant oversight because of the financing tools that are being brought in to complete this project. So we do annual, if not semi-annual inspections of every unit, turnover inspections as well. We are very on top of preventative maintenance to ensure that these units and the buildings themselves continue to be quality assets for the community. Also, with HUD providing financing to the Housing Authority, there is also a requirement for HQS inspections annually, which is Housing Quality Services inspections. Those will be performed annually, separate from the inspections that we do. So we are very committed to ensuring that this project lasts for the long term. We are not going anywhere. Michaels, when we manage properties, we stay until the asset is no longer with us. And some of those assets are still with us 40 to 50 years later. So happy to answer any questions you might have. And I should also mention, we are co-developing this project. I don't want to lose sight of this. With the Housing Authority of South Bend. So Commissioner Lucky is here tonight to say a few words. Marcia is unable to be here this evening. She's in Maryland, but she's been a critical component to this as well. So we thank you for your support and are very excited to get this started. Commissioner.
Thank you, Andrea. Council members, my name is Stephen Lickey. I reside at 1706 West North Shore Drive in the city of South Bend. I also have the honor of serving as vice chair of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of South Bend. We are extremely excited to be moving this development forward. As you know, it's been a long time coming to upgrade some of the units that the Housing Authority has had, and actually, this conversation is really appropriate given what was just spoken of at the end of the zoning committee hearing about creating mixed income housing, about planning for affordable housing in the city. The Housing Authority is really excited to partner with the city, with the Michaels organization, with the Community Foundation to be part of this transformation of Western Avenue. It follows the city's plan, long-term plan for development of this area, and we are just extremely excited to be part of it. I just wanted to note as well that the Michaels organization has a strong national portfolio. That was one of the reasons that when we did our request for proposals that they were chosen to be the development partner. The Housing Authority will continue to be engaged, but the Michaels organization will be managing this property, and it will continue to be an asset for our community for decades to come. I'm excited about this and really grateful for the participation, for the support that the city has already provided. The financing for these projects is very complicated. This being able to do the property tax issue here is an important component of being able for this project to be successful. So again, really grateful for your support, ask for your support on this initiative, and grateful for the city for allowing us to be a part of the transformation of Western Avenue.
All right. Do we have any questions from the committee? Councilwoman Bowden.
Thank you. I just, I don't know who this goes to, but I heard you mention that the former residents of Rabbi Schumann's, they have priority. And I'd like someone to respond to how are we making sure that these people are living other places now that they are aware of this. It might be, we might think, of course, everyone knows, but we know how that is. So what steps are you taking to make sure these people are well aware that they have first priority and are, welcome back in this new fabulous
Community, yes.
Yes.
Good question.
Yeah.
I wish Marcia were here to talk a little bit more specifics about this, and we can get back to you after, but I will tell you from experience, I've been doing affordable housing for 25 years. Typically, the way it works is that the Housing Authority would be maintaining a list of residents that either were relocated or folks that are interested in relocating back onto site. So it is our first kind of point of contact would be the people that are on that wait list. And we work our way through the list. There's typically a prioritization of residents, and Marcia could get back to us about that. But we will ensure that people who are on that list are the ones that are reached out to first.
So you're saying before they relocated, they expressed their desire to come to return?
When these residents were relocated, we followed all the HUD guidelines for relocation. In fact, we went over and above that to try to make sure that we addressed needs of our residents. So some of those residents relocated to other Housing Authority units. Some of them received housing vouchers and are in privately owned apartments in the community. So we wanted to make sure that they continued to have appropriate housing. So we will reach out to them, and if they wish to come back to this area, they will then be put on that list so that they have the opportunity to be prioritized in these units that are designated for, in particular, the lowest income housing.
If I may interrupt, just
Go
so
ahead.
you know, since I was in on some of those meetings, Ms. Green told me that when the residents were relocated, they got all their information so that they would be able to ask them when the time come if they like to come back.
Thank you.
So she should have a list somewhere. So hopefully that was taken care of.
Indeed.
Okay.
And we aren't that far along in the process.
Right.
Once we
Okay.
start constructing the building, so our property management team typically gets involved about 8 months prior to lease up, at which point they'll start engaging. I mean, not that they won't engage before then, but they'll start engaging with the housing authority to ensure that they start reaching out to the residents on that list.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, we'll open the public, go to the public hearing.
If there's anyone that wishes to speak in favor of the bill, please step up to the podium, or please add your information into the chat so that we can call on you. Mr. Brad, are you speaking in favor or in opposition? In favor, yes, okay. We are going to give you privileges to unmute yourself and turn on your camera. You should be able to unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself and turn on your camera, please?
Technical difficulty, but yes.
Thank you, Brad. Please state
Thank
your
you.
name and address for the record.
My name is Brad Emberton. I live at 615 West Colfax Avenue in South Bend, Indiana. And I am also a commissioner on the South Bend Housing Authority Board. And I come before you to speak in favor, asking you to move this resolution forward with a favorable recommendation. I don't have any additional information to add beyond what Joe, Steve, and Andrea added, but I agree with everything that was said and strongly encourage you to move this resolution forward. It is much needed and an important step in the process for us to move additional housing for affordable housing forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have Marcia Green online. Marcia, you should have privileges to unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself and turn your camera on. Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Marcia Parham Green. I reside at 5820 Sterling Drive in Granger, Indiana. I serve as the Executive Director and CEO of the Housing Authority of the City of South Bend, and I am very proud to be in that position. I am definitely in favor of this proposal. We have worked, the Housing Authority and the board, as well as Michael's, has worked diligently to try to bring this project to Western Avenue and to also to the low-income families of South Bend. It is extremely important. I heard the commentary earlier about those families that were displaced from Rabbi Shulman and from Monroe Circle to have an opportunity to return. They definitely will have that opportunity, and we do have that information, and we will be reaching out to them. But this project will not only serve those families that wish to return, but other families new to our area or on our other properties that will be looking for a great opportunity. So I strongly encourage that you move this proposal forward.
Thank you. I just want to confirm that I do not have any members of the public in person in the chambers that would like to speak in favor. Do I have any individuals that would like to speak in opposition at this time? In person or online? I do not see any and will close the public portion.
The public portion is closed. Back to the committee. Final questions? Committee, yes. Okay. Okay. The committee portion is closed. Any of the council members?
I just want to add a little bit of information to this. The plan for this came under consideration in the Northwest Neighborhood planning process. And so that neighborhood, which borders us to the north, was very engaged in the plan for this block, recommending green space, ideally childcare in the area. So I just wanted to share with the committee and others that this comes from the neighborhood as well, with much support and excitement to move forward.
President Lee?
Yes, and I just would like to say that thank you all for using the tool, the pilot. Again, this property was not bringing in any tax revenue, and now it will, in the 15 years, $390,568 that will be brought to this community, and the opportunity for those who were Rabbi Schumann to have a opportunity to come back to something greater. And so the drawings look great, and thank you all for all the hard work. We know that it's been a task, but this is $60 million of affordable housing, and we're very excited about it. So thank you.
I have Councilmember Sharon McBride online. Please unmute yourself and yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I am so excited to hear that this day is coming. I think everyone knows that I am a great proponent for the Housing Authority. It's my passion. I've worked there for 14 years. So to hear that we're ready to move forward with the development and having the residents who are displaced to have first choice to come back, that's exciting to hear the confirmation for that. So I am definitely in support of this proposal and excited to see it come back. Thank you. I'll yield.
At this time, anybody else? Any more? At this time, I entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to send substitute bill 3126 to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Committee Member Nastaski,
Aye.
Committee Member Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kevin Upton,
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Gripe,
Aye.
Committee Vice Chair Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Clerk Toronto, would you give Bill 3626 a reading?
We would just go into the petitioner. We don't need.
Oh, to the petitioner? Okay.
Yes.
Straight to the petitioner then. Joe,
You need
You're
to
up
accept the
again.
sub as well, please.
I didn't hear you.
Please accept the sub.
Oh, did we got a
Yes,
substitute?
substitute.
Oh,
Yes.
can we get the ones?
There's a sub for 30.
There's a
I didn't know there was we don't have it
For
written down here.
3626?
Not 3626,
3126?
3726.
I believe there's one for both 36 and
Yeah.
37.
Oh.
Okay, somebody make a motion.
I move to accept the substitute for 3626.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members. Another very exciting project to talk about now. Joe Molnar, Deputy Director of the Department of Community Investment with offices on the 5th floor of City Hall. I'll be presenting, this is in relation to both Bill 36 and 37-26, both related to the same renovation project, if that's all right with the committee.
Mr. Palmer,
Should be a motion to do.
I need a motion.
I'll entertain a motion to hear bills 3626 and 3726 together, knowing that they'll have to be voted on separately.
Second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Please also accept the substitute for 3726.
Motion to accept substitute bill 37-26.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Once again, Joe Molnar, Deputy Director, Offices on the 5th floor of City Hall. So both these bills are related to a full renovation project for the Beacon Heights Apartments. Just some reference about Beacon Heights itself. The property is located on the northwest side of the city of South Bend. As you can see here outlined in blue, it is affordable housing complex consisting of many different buildings in a townhome style, as well as its own street network. You can see it's immediately just south of St. John's Catholic Parish. Along Ardmore Trail is the main entrance to the campus, and then Lincoln Way West is right here to give you some relation of where the site is. Here is the site conditions as they are today. The complex was built in the 1940s, consisting, as I said, of multiple different buildings of townhome style and then over a couple different bedroom capacities. There are approximately 174 housing units on the site, making it one of the South Bend's largest affordable housing complexes. However, the apartments have not had a significant overhaul since construction. There has been piecemeal improvements over time made, but no full overhaul all at once that we've been able to find in the records. And that being the case, the units are in need of a full renovation. But not only just new affordable housing needs renovation, but the entire complex itself, including the common areas. And we know this is important because we know that not only we have a strong desire to build more new affordable housing, but we also have to maintain and make sure we're keeping up the stock of affordable housing that we have and getting responsible parties in the door to make sure they're maintaining them well. And that is what this project will do, as well as improving the community spaces, the roads, the parking lots, the community room, and making sure that those are renovated alongside the units. So the city, this pilot and forgivable loan would be with a partnership with L&M Development. They're a national affordable housing developer founded in the 1980s with extensive experience rehabbing existing affordable housing projects. And in total, they've acquired, built, or preserved over 57,000 housing units over that time. They have established Beacon Apartments Preservations LLC to manage and own the property. And they've entered into a purchase agreement to buy the Beacon Heights property. I want to make that clear. This is not the current owner of Beacon Heights. This would be a new owner that would be purchasing the property and moving forward. That is who the agreement would be with. If the sale fell through for whatever reason before the closing date, these agreements would be null and void. They would not transfer to the current owner. L&M applied for and received 4% low-income housing tax credits through the state of Indiana. As we spoke briefly earlier on the Western Ave project, that brings with it IHCDA rental income protections, habitability standards, eviction protection, and is a new oversight on the Beacon Heights property that does not exist today because it is not currently a LIHTC project. So that coming in, being a LIHTC project now, that adds another layer of inspections onto the units and onto the overall campus that does not exist currently, as well as this will remain a federal HUD affiliated site with the same rental income protections that exist today. And so I had this slide last time as well, and I noticed that I did not have that Beacon Heights Apartments was on here. So it's actually 10 awards since 2022 that have been awarded in the South Bend city limits, compared to 0 in the previous 10 years before. Beacon Heights let us know last week, or L&M let us know last week that they were awarded the LIHTC credits last week. So that brings our number up to 10. Being the combination with those local and outside partners across the city, trying to make sure that we bring affordable housing as well as maintain existing affordable housing. So what is the total planned redevelopment of the site? It's a $47 million approximately total project costs, both renovating all the interior of the existing units, and L&M can speak more about how that process will unfold, as well as exterior improvements to the units, new siding, as you see here, new brickwork, new paths and maintaining the paths better, paving of the roads, paving of the parking lots, and expanding the community center, which should lead to improved living conditions for residents. In addition, also the construction of a new playground. Currently on site, there is not a playground, and L&M can talk to conversations they've had with residents, even just today, about how that is a need for the children, of course, in the complex. And then expanding the community room, as I said, adding a gym, computer room, and library. Critically, this is a renovation in place, so there would be no displacement during renovation, and they can speak to how that process will unfold. But essentially, people will not have to be moved off-site for months at a time while their unit is renovated. And wanted to add to as well, there will be no increase in rent. The same rent protections that exist on the property will exist moving forward, being that 30% AMI, or I'm sorry, 30% income threshold. Total, as well as the new added security cameras, and then even possibly hiring a part-time private security patrols of the site, increasing the number of property management staff on the property, and then bringing social services directly to the site, which currently the management team is doing their best, but this would actually be social services would be provided on site in the newly expanded community room. A timeline for the project if everything moves smoothly. They were projecting for close on the property and take ownership of the property at the end of July, as well as close on all financing, and then immediately start working with residents and beginning construction and have initial construction of the first few the units that are vacant currently, with an estimated completion by the end of 2027. So the commitments for the two bills before you, the commitments for the forgivable loan, which is bill number 37-26. This would be providing 1.25 million from the City of South Bend Redevelopment River West funds, which are set aside for redevelopment projects. Those funds would only be dispersed to the developer upon closing at the same time of the land and financing. So the money would only go out the door if they had secured ownership and secured their financing. So we know the project was going to move forward. As well, the loan would not be forgiven until documented proof of all the private investment commitments, as well as proof of the rehab of the units themselves. So we would make sure that we had documentation that they had made the improvements that they are committing to make before that loan would actually be forgiven off the books. The pilot, as you've seen here, we talked about the pilot last time, so won't get too much into the mechanics. This would be a 30-year agreement with payments will be placed in that affordable housing account as established by the Common Council. Would start at $2,000 a year to help, provide the resources to make these improvements. Then in year 11, it jumps up to that $70,000 amount, and then has a 3% inflation adjusted increase through year 30. And that commits them again in another agreement to the renovation of all the 174 units and 60% AMI across all units, affordability standards, and compliant with HUD standards. This is another tool that the city can use if 15, 16, 17 years down the line, the city is no longer happy with the renovation. This is an agreement we have with them, so we have that relationship and that dialogue we can work on. The process steps for these two agreements, the pilot, no further steps would be needed if the council approved bill number 3626 and then subsequently signed by the mayor. The forgivable loan, this is a longer process. So the Redevelopment Commission approved on June 11th, authorizing the use of that 1.25 million in River West TIF funds upon full approval by the council and others. The Economic Development Corporation met last week and approved their version of the project form and all the forms needed. Council action today, bill number 37-26, which would approve those forms as well. And then it would be subject to a final development agreement and final resolution approved by the RDC at their first meeting in July. Just recommitting, again, everything outlined here already before you today. So wrapping up of the overall discussion is significant investment is needed in the Beacon Heights apartments, and this helps leverage existing city resources to make sure that we're getting those outside funding sources to be able to maintain and renovate existing affordable housing, as well as it updates not just the housing, but we're real excited about what it'll do for that entire neighborhood, the new playground, the new community space. Further, this gives the city tools moving forward through both the forgivable loan and the pilot, and I should mention the low-income housing tax credit process that help monitor the property maintenance and making sure that the maintenance is held up to standard for livability. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and we have representatives from L&M here to speak.
Thank you, members of the council, the opportunity to be here this evening. My name is Sophie Cohen. I'm a representative from L&M Development Partners, and I'm joined by
Jerome Dunbar. I'm the Senior Director, Government and Community Relations for L&M.
We're excited to invest
I'm sorry, can you please state your addresses for the record?
Oh, offices. Okay, it's like, sure. 2 Park Avenue, New York, 10016.
Thank you so much.
Of course. We're excited to invest in South Bend in this community in need of a substantial rehab. We're excited to be here tonight to discuss this project with you all. And I just want to say that throughout this process, the city's responsiveness, professionalism, and commitment to its residents and long-term neighborhood investment has been evident. And we're grateful for the opportunity to partner with you all in the city of South Bend on this project and hopefully many more. As Joe mentioned, the project will be a little bit over $100,000 per unit and will include new interiors, HVAC, roofing, siding, facade, a new community room, which will include a gym, a business center, a library, new windows, security, landscaping, the addition of ADA units, which currently don't exist there today, signage and walkway repairs. And we are the current manager, Javen Smith, will be staying in addition to the remaining staff. We'll also be adding a services component and additional part-time security. And just want to say again that we're really excited to be here and partner with you all.
And if I may say briefly, I have had the opportunity to meet with several of the residents as well as the property management team. And I think the first important ingredient is community engagement. To have the residents come today with their children and to come with excitement and energy, that's what fuels the changes. One lady said to me, look, Mr. Dunbar, you know, the kids are breaking the windows over there and the building's boarded up. And so until these renovations are done, you know, children will continue to target areas like that. But the residents are very, very excited. But earning trust is difficult. It's been a long journey, as it was just stated, which they've had real renovations to this property. But the energy and the care from the residents to be out there with their children today is unmatched. And the nurturing that needs to be done are the renovations, because that's what's going to cause the changes to happen. So just wanted to state that.
Okay, at this time, any questions from the committee?
I have a question.
I was gonna let this voting system first and then Mr. Gripe.
I heard you say you have a social component. I want to hear more about that, and I also want to know what considerations have been made in partnership with SBCSC, seeing that there is an elementary school, Coquillart and Dickinson, and that I will tell you that housing complex has a major impact on the environment of the schools. So elaborate, please, on what you plan to do.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for bringing that up. I think,
Microphone.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
'Cause I'm hard of hearing.
I personally feel incredibly lucky that, we are purchasing a community with such a talented and amazing property manager who has made such a significant contribution to the property. And one of the ways in doing so is partnering with the school across the street. Whether that's allowing for additional pickups or ensuring that, there's certain social programming that happens after school, both at the school. I can tell you that we have a resident meeting coming up in a few weeks that's going to be held at the school. So that just kind of goes to display how strong that partnership that Javen has created with the school, and will hopefully only continue and strengthen as we're able to implement additional funds to what Javen has already been doing by partnering with local community organizations and nonprofits to get the mothers and the children at the property the additional help and resources they need. Just speaking to the renovation itself, we are going to be including a playground. We're going to be expanding the community center, as Joe had mentioned, which will allow for that space to, while it's been great that it's been able to be held at the community spaces at the school, those will now also be able to held within their own community.
I also met with the social service coordinator today from the YMCA, and she was also talking about some of the resources that they're putting in and just being available for the folks there. They were meeting with a young lady there today who needed assistance. So as Sophia just said, that's the care that's needed, and being on the ground, and to see the property management team. Property management teams are more than property managers. They're social service workers themselves. They're de-escalators, and that's exactly what he was doing today, and as well she.
I would like you to know that Dr. Davis is a social worker at Dickinson. I was a former principal, and I'm still in the school. So please know that what happens in that apartment complex, it comes straight into the school. And so I really want to just urge you, the strongest word I can do, to have it focus on restorative justice, conflict resolution, and so it's just a wraparound that the community and the school are all on one sync, and we can have a winning team.
Absolutely.
At this time, we're gonna have you, Mr. Gripe, because we're really pushing on time. And council members, I'm gonna ask you, can you hold your rest of your questions until tonight? So we will honor you, Mr. Gripe. Will you please go forward with your question?
Thank you. My question really is to the city, Joe. Can you talk about the due diligence you exerted to look into L&M Development Partners as somebody you want to do business with?
Sure, yeah. So this process started, I think, in October, is when L&M first reached out to the city. The property was listed for sale by the current owner. They reached out and stated, we're looking into purchasing the property and applying, for tax credits and moving forward with a renovation. So that's when we did kind of a deep dive into their company history. Obviously, being around since the 80s and having 57,000 units, there might be one or two cases where a contractor or something didn't go right. But the overwhelming response that we received when we reached out to other cities and other housing authorities that have worked with L&M is that they were a positive partner, which really spoke highly to me when I was reaching out to colleagues in other cities. And so that was part of the due diligence we did. We also, throughout this process since October, we've been working with them very closely, and they've been professional the entire way. They've been making sure that they're doing everything right, that they were engaging with the residents properly first when they were able to. It's always a tricky situation when a housing complex is purchased by another owner. That can bring up a lot of fear in residents that change is going to be coming. They've been very forthright from the beginning that there will be no displacement of current residents. There will be no increase in rents. So really from the beginning, they've been doing everything that we would like to see in a responsible property owner. And they're handling not just the pretty things that, we would all like to see a new playground. of course. But one of the first things I said is, these all need HVAC units. These all need roofs. They're handling, they're not just doing, a very surface level improvement of the facility, but it is an entire overhaul of all the needed building components as well. Because sometimes what you'll see in these cases is someone will come in, they'll do a renovation, but it's really, they're just painting, maybe putting some new flooring in and then jacking the rents up. That is not what we're seeing at all here. Is this would be a full renovation of the critical building units too, to make sure that these are habitable decades into the future.
The reason why I asked that was that just last year, 2025, there were some civil cases regarding construction defects at a couple projects in Harlem. And that kind of came to my attention. So I was just wanting to make sure that the city checked that out adequately in your due diligence process. It sounds like you have.
I'm still gonna ask that we kind of ask some more questions tonight, okay? Because we really are on a lot of time. We got another committee to meet yet. So at this time, we're gonna go right into the public portion.
If there are any members of the public in person or online that would like to speak in favor, please come to the podium or raise your hand online. I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor. Are there any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition at this time? I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition, and the public hearing portion is closed at
It's
this
closed.
time.
Is there anyone wish to speak against? You
It's
done that?
closed. Yep,
Okay,
we
we're
did that.
closed.
Yep.
Okay. At this time, back to the committee. Council members, final word. At this time, I entertain a motion.
We need to vote on the bill separately, so
Bill,
can we entertain a motion for 3626?
entertain a motion for first bill 3626.
I'll make a motion to send the substitute bill 36-26 to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Committee Member Noskowski,
Aye.
Committee Member Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kevin Upton,
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Gripe,
I'll abstain.
Committee Vice Chair Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
I have 4 ayes and 1 abstain.
Okay, we need a motion on
So
bill
can I get a motion
for bills.
for Bill 3726, a motion and a second?
Move to send Bill 3726 to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Committee Member Noskowski,
Aye.
Committee Member Simpson,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kevin Upton,
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Gripe,
Abstain.
Committee Vice Chair Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
I have 4 ayes and 1 abstain. Okay.
Okay. Clerk Tarada, would you read bill 2617? We didn't,
Yes, we can just ask, we could do a committee report.
committee report?
Yeah, no, you can just ask for we're moving to Bill 2617 and then. it's
Resolution
additional.
approving and authorizing the purchase of property located at 2950 Lathrop Street.
Yes. Mhm.
Committee presenter?
Hi, this is Michael Schmidt, one of the assistant city attorneys with offices on the 6th floor of this building. I will go super fast. Stop me if you need to. The city is simply looking for permission from council to move forward with the acquisition of this
Can
property.
you speak in the mic?
Thank you.
Sorry. The city is looking for permission to move forward with the acquisition of this property. The property is for the reconstruction of the area around Bendix and Lathrop, which will create some additional pedestrian safety measures, as well as shrinking Bendix from 4 lanes down to 3. It's generally part of just upgrades and safety steps that the city's trying to do throughout the city. Because the acquisition price is above $25,000 for some of the temporary and permanent property that we need to acquire, we're just seeking your permission.
Any questions from the committee? Any questions from the council members? We want to go to the public portion.
Are there any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill? I do not see any members of the public wishing to speak in favor. Are there any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition? I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition, and the public hearing portion is closed at this time.
Back to the committee. At this time, then I entertain a motion.
I just have a question. I know you asked us to hold our questions because of the hour, but what connectivity for pedestrian facilities are we talking about before I would want to make a recommendation on this bill?
I will confirm that with Public Works before this evening, and I don't know if Leslie Beek is still with us online. She is the city's lead engineer on this project. But I think we're just creating some trail sidewalks in addition to, as we sort of refocus the
Eric, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Eric Horvath, Public Works Director with office on the 4th floor of the County City Building. Happy to address that question. Yeah, that's part of the project. It's very important that we continue the walkway that we started on Bendix further south. And so we're doing a 10-foot multi-use path on the west side of the road. The road itself will be one lane in each direction with the center turn lane. It will move traffic just fine. Now we'll be able to have pedestrians and bicyclists use the road as well.
Okay, thank you. And thank you so much, Chair, for letting me ask the question.
At this time, then I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to send Bill 27-17 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Committee Member Niskoski,
Aye.
Committee Member Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kevin Upton,
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Gripe,
Aye.
Committee Vice Chair Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes. The committee is adjourned.
At this time, this committee is adjourned. Thank you, Councilwoman Nagowski, for allowing us this extra time.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay, I would like to call to order the Residential Neighborhoods Committee. It is now 6:21 p.m. to note the time. Clerk Torato, could you call the roll for the committee, please?
Yes. Committee Member McBride,
Present.
Committee Member Bolden Simpson,
Present.
Committee Member Gooden Rogers,
Present.
Citizen Member Angela Smith, Citizen Member Jesse Whitaker. I see you online. Yes, thank you. Committee Vice Chair Niskoski, who will be chairing the committee this
Yes.
evening for Chair White.
Yes. Present.
I have 5 members present.
Okay, wonderful. So tonight we have, as you see, I am stepping in for Ms. White tonight. And to hear these 2 bills, Bill number 2616 and 2618. So do we have a presenter for Bill 2616? Yes.
Yes. Sherry Bolden Simpson, 6216 Exeter Court, South Bend, Indiana.
Oliver Davis, 1801 Nash Street, South Bend, Indiana, at-large councilperson. And we are glad to bring this resolution for the South Bend Common Council, which acknowledges the history of racial discrimination, environmental harm, disinvestment, and industrial pollution impacting the LaSalle Park neighborhood, and formally apologizing to the residents and families of the community. You can see this particular apology is specifically limited for the LaSalle Park neighborhood. I would say targeted more so than limited. We wanted to focus on this area primarily because of the significant history that this has been a home to significant Black communities that have contributed greatly to the social, cultural, and political and economic life of this district for years. And whereas residents of the LaSalle Park neighborhood experienced decades of racial discrimination, redlining, unequal public investment, housing segregation, environmental injustice that negatively impacted the health, safety, stability, social, and economic opportunities for this community, which was outlined last week, well, our last meeting. And we wanted to make sure that from this council, as a part of the formal apology, that we address this. I know we have another one that's coming up for the city and those that, but this one really ties into the history of how this resolution even started. Back in the day when Councilman Henry Davis and others were doing it during the time when Ms. McBride was president of the council, this one really targeted, and this was the impetus that led to the whole commission that led to this whole citywide area. And so we are very grateful at this time and humbled at the same time. Grateful that we are acknowledging, humbled that we are here to look at this situation, to deal with this matter, and for us to be able to say we're sorry. And not only that we're sorry, but you saw in the zoning committee today and many of the actions that you have been taking, that we are going to do something. The South Bend Tribune said we have to move forward and we must honor that.
No, we all can read. I just want to highlight one of the whereases, even though this is focusing on Beck's Lake, it also points out that the redlining, whereas redlining, racial covenants, and unfair loan practices relegated Black people to certain areas of the city, including LaSalle Park. So even though this is focusing on that, we do know that these practices, systemic racist practices, it affected everyone.
And as it affected everyone, it's not only happening in South Bend. We have in here that other cities have joined us in the past. We have mayors, local leaders across the United States, in Evanston, Illinois, in Chicago, in Asheville, North Carolina, Boston, Kansas City, San Francisco, Tulsa. People take the time to look at their history to prepare for their future. I'm a therapist, and I also challenge my clients. We have to look at the past, look at the strengths and challenges of our past so we can plan for today as we move forward. And the families and the cities are made of families. That's what we're all about. We have families that come together to make a large city. And so we're here today to say, hey, we got to do better. We saw the report. And not only that, we will do better as a council and as a city of South Bend.
We all know that our neighboring city, Goshen, took part and gave an apology for being a sundown city. And I think it brought healing, and that's what we want. We really want change of hearts. And this is the beginning of change of heart and going with policy. That's how we're going to do better. So we ask your serious and careful consideration of this resolution.
Bring it back to the committee here, any council members that we're all up here. Is there any questions that you have regarding the bill? President Lee?
Just say thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I think we're going to go ahead to the public hearing portion.
Okay.
Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 2616? If you could come forward to the mic and state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Mark Anella. I live at 1010 Quimby Street in South Bend, Indiana. I am strongly in favor of the resolution to issue a formal apology for the historical racism and environmental racism in the LaSalle Park neighborhood. Given that other cities across the country are doing this, there is a precedent for this. I feel like at this point in 2026, everybody is pretty much aware of the racist history of the way that housing has worked in this country. And based on the discussions that have happened in here today, clearly there is an interest among everybody involved to repair and work together collaboratively. So I'm strongly in favor of this apology, or yes, for this resolution for an apology. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. If you could come and state your name and address, please.
My name is Miranda Schwab, and I reside at 307 East LaSalle Avenue here in South Bend. I strongly urge you to be in favor of this resolution. I think learning about the racist and discriminatory history of South Bend, the details are quite frankly horrifying. And I think acknowledging the harm caused is an important step towards repairing that harm and seeking justice.
Okay, thank you for your comments. If you could come forward and give your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you all. My name's Kay West Hughes. My address is 216 West Madison Street, South Bend. And I'm here to speak in favor of this resolution because as we know, that South Bend's not the only city that this has happened in, but acknowledging it makes us a little, it makes us a stronger place. And I also think it makes us realize that, you know, acknowledge what's actually happened in this community, and acknowledging it is a step towards making healing and making us do better. So,
Okay, thank you for your comments. If you could come and state your name and address, please, for the record.
Hello, my name is Sophia Wilson. I reside at 1010 Quimby Street here in South Bend, Indiana. I am strongly in favor of this resolution for a formal apology, and I strongly encourage the council to accept this resolution. We are steeped in an incredibly racist history, not only in this city, but also in this country, and acknowledgement is the bare minimum that needs to begin in order to really begin reparations for the horrific things that have happened in this community here in South Bend and at large. As all of my peers have said before me, it is just one step in healing and becoming a better community overall. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Catherine Redding, 1409 Minor Street. I am standing in favor of resolution for this resolution to be passed. I do believe that this is the first step to reconciliation, is admitting that there has been a long historical problem. And this is, like I said, the first step in moving the needle forward to true justice. So thank you for this resolution, and thank you for this opportunity to speak on the floor. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of Bill 2616?
Yes, we have two individuals online.
Okay.
Ms. Bloss, can you please unmute yourself and turn your camera on and state your name and address for the record, please?
Hi, my name is Raquel Bloss. My address is 2513 Erskine Boulevard. And I'm speaking in favor of the resolution to apologize for the systemic racist practices of South Bend. I wanted to remark that my family dates back to the early part of the 20th century in South Bend. And although as part of my ancestry fled Serbian prosecution and arrived in poverty, my family was able to grow and thrive and succeed in South Bend. And I feel personally obligated to support the efforts to seek equity in this situation for those families that were not able to prosper and find success in South Bend due to these practices. I also want to thank all the various committees that worked so hard for the 138-page report, which was extensive and thorough. And I'd also like to thank the prior common council members who voted in favor of that committee, because I know this has been several, there are people no longer in the committees that voted on this and supported that. So I want to thank them as well and thank all of you. Thank you.
At this time, I do want to acknowledge Ms. Jessie Whitaker. I know that you are a citizen member, but just confirming that you have comments. If so, we'll save that to the comment section when we turn it back over to the committee.
So is that everyone wishing to speak in favor?
At this time, that's everyone wishing to speak in favor, yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak against?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Okay, then I see no one else here in the chamber as well, so we're going to close the public hearing portion for this bill. We are going to bring it back to the committee. I do know we had someone online here that wished to make some comments. That would be the time now as part of the committee if you wish to make some comments.
Miss Jessie, please unmute yourself and turn your camera on. Thank you. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, I'm definitely in favor of the apology. My parents go back to living in South Bend, relocated here in 1946, and they specifically were living on Beck's Lake. And so I'm definitely in favor of the apology. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments from anyone on the committee or anybody else up here? No? Okay, then I will entertain a motion regarding Bill 2616. If I could get a motion.
Move to send Bill 2616 to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
That'll be the full council for a
council, yes,
resolution.
the resolution, excuse me.
That's okay. Is there a second? Okay, so we do have a motion to send Bill 2616 to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Committee Member McBride,
Aye.
Committee Member Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Committee Member Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Citizen Member Jesse Whitaker,
Aye.
Committee Vice Chair Niskotsky.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes.
Thank you. That will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. We're going to move right along here. We also are here to hear Bill 2618, and I believe President Lee will be. Okay, thank you.
Yep. With time going, with time far spent, 2618 is a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend formally accepting the historical sections of the final report of the Reparatory Justice Commission and the history of the racial discrimination against Black residents documented therein, acknowledging the analysis and recommendation section of the report for purposes of policy discussion, and issuing a formal apology for the Common Council and on behalf of the City of South Bend. This resolution formally accepts the historical section of the report and directs that they may be made part of the official city record. So the reason why we are accepting this is so that two of the the second recommendation was that the city makes this a historical document. And so that's what we're doing here today.
Thank you. Anything further, President Lee? No? Okay, thank you. I'm going to bring it back here to the committee. Is there any questions from the committee or any of the council members here present? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and go right to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 2618? Same things, name and address for the record, please. Thank you.
Marcanella, 1010 Quimby Street, South Bend, Indiana. I'm strongly in favor of this resolution. The report is very thorough and factual, and I think there's no denying that. And I think that also what it brings to question that directly considers this room here is that the racist history is not just something that happened, but it was a accumulation of decisions made by people in positions of power. So the repair comes from you guys making new decisions. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. If you want to step forward and your name and address, please.
Sophia Wilson, I reside at 1010 Quimby Street here in South Bend. I'm strongly in favor of this resolution. As my peer before me said, it's a very thorough document that deserves a place for it to be seen and heard. We need more education for what actually has happened in our history, and this is an incredibly comprehensive document that can help with that. Again, all the comments that have been heard tonight with the prior resolution as well. in order for reparations to happen in our community, we need a thorough, detailed history to work from and to refer to. And I think it's very important to have this as an actual document within the city.
Thank you for your comments. And if you want to name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Miranda Schwab, and my address is 307 East LaSalle Avenue. I think the two people who spoke before me summed it up, but I am strongly in favor of this resolution.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Catherine Redding, 1409 Minor Street. I am speaking in favor of this resolution. I do appreciate the report that was handed in, and I do feel that it has a significant amount of South Bend's history, and creating this to be a historical document for the community to refer back to is definitely a necessity. So yeah, I'm speaking in favor of it, and I appreciate the commission's report. So, and thank you for this resolution.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Is
Yes.
there anyone online?
Ms. Bloss, you will have, please unmute yourself and turn your camera on, please, and state your name and address.
Hi, it's A. Raquel Bloss, 2513 Erskine Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana. I just wanted again to express my deep support for the city of South Bend to accept this historical document and thank all the committees that did this tremendous work to develop this document in hopes that the racial harms that our city has caused can begin to heal, given that these are defined, expressed, and hopefully, embraced by the city to do reparations and to begin undoing those harms. I thank you very much.
And thank you for your comments. President Lee?
I did want to make clear, though, that this is a formal apology to all residents of South Bend. I know the former resolution was for the LaSalle Park area. This is an agreement with what the recommendations for the reparatory justice was. It was a formal apology to all Black residents of the South Bend, past and present, for the history of discrimination and for the harms that it caused. So just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. I see no one else or anybody in line to speak in favor. Is there anyone that wishes to speak against Bill 2618?
At this time, I do not see any individuals in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Thank you so much. At this point, we are going to close the public hearing. Thank you, Pastor Lee. We're going to close the public hearing on Bill 2618 and bring it back to the committee. If there's no further comments, what's the pleasure of the committee regarding the resolution?
Move that Bill 2618 be accepted and placed in a good place for all residents to be able to see, to the full council. It can go to the full council.
So we have a motion to send Bill 2618 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Favor, yes.
Is there a second? I'll second. Okay. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Committee Member McBride. Committee Member Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Committee Member Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Citizen Member Jesse Whitaker.
Aye.
Committee Vice Chair Niskotsky.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 2618 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. That concludes the Residential Neighborhoods Committee.
At this moment, because of the shortness of time, we will not do an informal meeting. We will see everybody back here at 7 o'clock for our 7 o'clock meeting. Thank you.